Well, Kevin Stefanski today met with media via Zoom, talked about Hall of Fame game, as well as what he saw from his team on the field.
Great day for our organization, for the NFL. I was just again humbled to be a part of it. And then into the game, like we talked about last night, was it perfect? No, never is. You got a lot of young players playing for the first time, but I thought the effort was outstanding. I thought all the guys were into it, cheering on their teammates, the guys that weren't playing. So much so that we got a 15-yard penalty or whatever the penalty was at the end. But a good night, a late night, up and at 'em early today. So we got plenty of work to do, and that's the beauty of training camp. It's August 4th. We got work to do.
And Ashley, you were down in Canton. You've been at training camp. What is a takeaway so far? I know it's early. You know what? It's 8 days, 9 days, 10 days into it. What are some of the takeaways from what you have witnessed?
Yeah, I think my biggest one, especially after last night, is I'm curious to see how this defense is going to keep growing. I talked to Lance Reisland, who I believe you guys are going to have on after me, and Lance mentioned too that it was like a very basic Jim Schwartz defense that we saw, and I still think there's so much room to grow because, of course, in these practices, yes, they're in pads now and there's more contact, but we're not seeing these guys actually like get after quarterbacks and be able to hit them. And of course, in the preseason, you're not like game planning the same way that you do in the regular season. You're not like creating matchups. You don't want to give too much away with your scheme. So I think there's still so much more to take away from this defense. But I think in the practices, especially when they have those first unit guys out there, I've seen like just about all of them make hustle plays. In the Greenbrier, gosh, I think Myles Garrett, you probably could have counted up with like 6 sacks over the last 2 days if he was allowed to hit Deshaun Watson in those drills. You've seen Dalvin Tomlinson make big plays, kind of do some nice reading of that offense and get some batted passes in practices. Zadarius Smith too. So I think for me, that's like the biggest takeaway is still about this defense. I think it's like one of the stories. And then the offense, obviously, I think the guys that we keep talking about for good reason are Elijah Moore and Donovan Peoples-Jones right now. I think Elijah has kind of shown what he can do and how effective he can be in different scenarios. I like the speed options they've been able to run with him so far. And Donovan, I think, for a lot of people was a question mark coming into this season. Of course, you have Amari Cooper still leading this room, but I think people were really curious how Donovan was going to respond. And it seems like he's just been kind of prone in a good way to connecting on some of these longer plays and practices. Of course, we didn't see either of those guys last night. We didn't see Deshaun Watson last night, but that's just from, the 2 weeks or so of practices that we've gotten to see so far.